following podcast may contain some adult language. You've been warned.
Those of you who got an invite, welcome to Nerd Prom.
No matter where in the world you are, we're all Nerds International. With the hyphen.
Welcome to Finding the Narrative, a Genesys RPG podcast. This is a show dedicated to the Genesys role-playing system from Fantasy Flight Games, a show in which we, your hosts, discuss all things Genesys from both a player's and a GM's perspective. I am Tony Fanning, and with me, as always, is my brother from another mother, Mr. Chris Holmes. How you doing, homie?
Oh, I'm doing pretty good. It's Father's Day, which means grilling for my daughters.
Nice.
And yeah, it was good. I'm still full. We had burgers. Went and saw a movie. But more importantly, we have Stefan is back with us this week.
Yay!
Yes, I'm back. I'm back, bitches.
To help us, you're back here to help us carry around our hefty mail sack.
Yes, it's
Spelled-
a big three-man job.
That's right. However you guys want to spell it out there, it's either M-A-I-L, or for Stefan, it's M-A-L-E.
Yes.
So, at least that's what Tony put in our notes here.
Sure,
To mess with that.
sure.
Just having some fun.
So everybody, that we are going to be talking. This is just going to be we're talking, getting out the big hefty mail bag and going to go through some emails and comments and stuffs
Yes.
from people.
Yeah, because our tens of listeners have been contacting us, and we haven't been going through the emails or letters as much. So we're going to take at least a few, because we can't do all of them.
That's right.
Or else we'll be here until tomorrow.
That's right. So we're not going to do a 50 piece of awesome. We're probably not going to do an advantageous threats. However, Tony has come up with a way for us to actually roll dice.
Yes.
During
We'll
this.
get to that later.
And we'll get to that later. So, dude, do we have any... We don't have any news, do we, Stefan?
No, I've been keeping an eye on the FFG sites this week, and nothing really Genesys related anyway
No.
is coming up. But, they really should come up with stuff, even, marketing stuff, side stuff, whether it be dice bags or playmats, adversary cards.
GM screens.
Yeah.
Well, there's rumor that there's more Android adventures on the way.
Well, there we go.
Yes.
Fully.
Tiernoth adventures, too.
Yeah.
If you guys want. I mean, feel free if you'd like to put those out. So, yeah. So, nothing
Cool.
there.
So, shall we get into our sack?
Yes.
Let's go.
Let's reach
you
in
know
there.
what, Stefan? Why don't you go first? Go ahead and get into the sack first.
All right. So let's go put my hand really deep in there and reach in for a letter.
All right.
It's like, ew, wait a minute, it's sticky in here.
Sorry.
All right, so our first letter is from a fellow Canadian who's daring me to pronounce his last name.
Yes.
So here we go. Michael McCallum.
I don't know if you got it right because I can't remember.
That's not right. I remember what he said, but
Yeah.
I'm not telling you.
That's my attempt anyway.
There you go.
There you go, Michael. So Michael has been working on a Genesys version of the very popular comic book, cartoon, and even some movies, some more popular than others, of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness. I was still, beginning gamer when I was still reading the comic books. I was a big fan and bought all the role-playing books when they came out, published by Palladium Games.
Nice.
Wasn't a big fan after a while of the system, especially when characters level up and trying to create NPCs that were a challenge for them. But anyway, still like the books and the whole stories. So he's working on that, and he had a few questions for us about his documents so far that he's working on. A few little aspects that he's asking for feedback. So let me just read this real quickly without being too dry, hopefully. So, hope you're doing well. I've been busy cooking up a setting book, TMNT. It is still in its early stages, but I'm proud of what I have currently. I have a few questions for you about my setting, looking for some ideas on balance. So, how do you feel the balancing is between species, special abilities? I'm trying to balance them around a tier 3 talent. Most of them meet that I feel. Okay, most of them meet what I feel, maybe, except for two things. Paraphrasing, maybe a little bit of typos there. First is the whole class of conditional boosters abilities. For example, it says like watery stealth. When in water, including rain, add 1 boost die to all stealth, survival, and brawl checks. And is giving boost to underpowered when compared to the others? Kind of feels that way. I'm considering making them a free upgrade or 2 to make it a tier 3 equivalent ability. What do you guys think?
Well, if you want, in my opinion, if you want a tier 3 upgrade or tier 3 talent equivalent, upgrading is perfectly fine.
Yeah. And hey, it's a superhero setting, man. Who cares, right?
Yeah, you can tweak the rules. Yeah, they're definitely over the top. You know, they can do stuff that normal people can't. Right. You know, I'm reminded of a fight in I think it was Iron Man 2, when towards the end, the Black Widow, she's just laying down mooks left, right, and center, whereas Tony Stark's bodyguard, they're happy. He's just fighting this one guy, and he's having difficulty. He manages, but
good analogy.
This is well, this is one, let's say a rival against one minion. He's having difficulty, whereas Black Widow, she's just a legendary character going against minions, having the heroic ability of unleash kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
No, there's nothing wrong with upgrading.
No, nothing.
So that sounds good. It'll
feel more heroic, I think.
Yeah. Players will always like the additional chance of having maybe a triumph on their dice too.
And just for because this is for the crocodile, I see in the document, and just as aesthetics, I would say if you're going to have it apply to stealth, survival, and brawl, call it something other than watery stealth. Maybe aquatic affinity, or
there you go. That's a cool name.
Ambush predator or something.
Sweet. What are the rules for underwater combat in this? Is there?
There is none.
There is none specifically, no, unless maybe
environmental hazards,
environmental effects. What does it say? Water and swimming. What does it say here? Okay, it's basically just
maybe about drowning, probably.
Setback dice. And that's another thing. You could have it remove all setback dice in combat underwater.
There you go.
Yeah, because they're an aquatic species, at least. It's their element.
It says, here's another one. I think it's difficult to move through water, so it does require an athletics check to swim, and it requires an extra maneuver to move.
Right.
So maybe with this affinity, even though you're upgrading. Maybe if you do make him only a boost die, you say, hey, you don't need these checks to swim. You can move normally in water, right? When you're swimming. I don't know. Well, you can play around with it, see what your player's like, what feels good for you.
Well, if you're building an aquatic species, just like other systems, if a shark doesn't need to actually move checks to move through water, it's their environment. So
and I was doing some underwater combat this past Friday in that D Shift 7D game, and you get disadvantage if you're not using certain weapons underwater. So in this case, if you want to, brawling is one thing, but if you're swinging weapons like a big battle axe as opposed to, say, a trident, you might not get, like in our case, we'd give them like maybe setback dice, right, to hit or
that would make
increase
sense.
the difficulty.
Increase the difficulty, those kinds of things. Yeah.
Definitely.
Cool.
All right, continue, please, good sir.
All right. So, secondly, is the special ability of the rhinoceros, which is Stampede. He says he's not sure which one works. I have 3 variants. What do you think works best? And Chris and I discussed it a little bit before recording the show, just to think about it and have a bit of a small brainstorm.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, he's got these 3 abilities. Well, 3 variations on Stampede. They all start with each turn. For each maneuver that is used to move between range bands before making a melee attack. So they all start more or less the same. So the first option, he says, each triumph rolled on that attack roll allows that character, the rhinoceros character, to roll an additional proficiency dice. And he says these additional triumphs on the extra rolls would not trigger an additional dice. You wouldn't explode the dice like some other systems.
Okay.
Chris and I had said that maybe to make it feel more heroic, even the additional dice could explode.
Right.
Anyway, that's one version. The other one is after an attack roll, let's check again when moving between range bands. That turn, you may choose to re-roll that many dice equal to the number of maneuvers taken. So if you were at medium range and it took you two maneuvers to go to short range and another 2 to go from short and then to engaged, or however long it took to get you engaged. If you, let's say, for example, spent 4 maneuvers overall, then you get 4 chances of rerolling 4 dice, or maybe 2 dice. It's the maximum of 2 maneuvers anyway.
Yep.
You can re-roll that many dice of your choosing before resolving the roll. So you could re-roll a couple of dice that came up blanks.
Yeah.
And finally, again, range bands moving between. After rolling an attack, check that one. You may choose to re-roll the dice pool entirely and take the new result. So those are the 3 options. Exploding triumphs, re-rolling a certain number of dice. After you pick and choose which one you re-roll, or re-roll the entire thing. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think I personally I don't like re-rolling in this system.
It should be rare.
What's that?
It should be very rare.
It should be very rare. And the first one, so if you use, and I would assume you would be using the superhero variant rules in the back of Genesys Core, where you pick 2 characteristics, and any skill you roll that's linked to those 2 characteristics, you have the exploding proficiency dice when you roll a triumph. So in this case, for the rhinoceros, if you do that and they select brawn as a characteristic, you'll probably do a melee attack, probably a brawl check if you're doing a stampede, right? Just smashing them with your horn or whatever.
Yeah, probably using brawl skill.
Yeah, so the stampede, it kind of almost... So I think one of the things I came up with when Steph and I were talking, the stampede, if you have to start medium range away from somebody, move to short range, and then to engage range. So you're going to be spending the strain, and you're going to be moving a ways. But what is the bonus? What do you guys think?
That means also the stampede takes multiple rounds, wouldn't it?
No, it would take 1 round. If you're medium range away from somebody, it's only 2 maneuvers to get into engage range with somebody. Right?
Okay.
Right.
Medium to short, short to...
You can't take more than 2 maneuvers.
No.
So you can't... Right. This whole thing about moving between range bands, the number of range bands move, it's kind of
weird way to word it, yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird way of wording it. Really, you can move from medium to engaged range
Right.
Normally by spending 2 strain.
Right.
What I would say is with the Stampede ability, you move from medium to engaged range at a specific target, and you don't have. There's no strain involved in it because it's your Stampede ability. You take away the strain because this is a natural ability.
Yes,
they can just cover that distance in a Stampede, and then the last thing you want to do if you want to add, if you want to add an upgrade to the check, or if you want to add a couple boost dice to increase the damage output, those things are there.
Here's something. How about your attack gets the knockdown ability?
And that was what I was going to go to next.
There we go.
Oh, sorry, Tony.
And the last thing I was going to say is instead of doing all that, it takes no strain. Just the fact that it takes away the strain and your attack gains the knockdown ability is by far perfect. It's perfect for a Stampede.
Yeah, it feels like a Stampede, right?
And maybe you can do it. I mean, you can only do it once per round anyway. And the target has to be at medium range for you to be able to do it.
In that round,
running
exactly.
start.
Yep, you gotta get the running start, and it's a good combat opener, if you will, right? I mean,
moving between foes. Maybe you want to hit. You're gonna hit one guy, and then you're gonna turn around and go hit another guy, and you're just pinballing back and forth.
Oh, I can see this guy just going around. That's cool.
And
Bebop and Rocksteady.
And I think that makes more. Narrative sense. Because again, you don't want to make it too complicated. Because if we had a hard time understanding it as kind of experts on the system.
Right,
your players are going to have a hard time understanding.
And then remember, Michael. I mean, your first thought here with re-rolling the triumph, getting to re-roll with the triumphs. Just bring in that superhero super stats. I think that's super characteristics. I think.
Yeah, and theirs was 2, but nothing says for a minor, street level heroes like the turtles that you don't just choose 1.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. There you go. Yeah, that's true.
Why not? Tweak that and
tweak it so that it's only one ability. Yeah, one characteristic.
And if I was making a mutant rhino, I'd take my brawn and any day.
You have to.
That's it. It already starts at a brawn 3, so that's pretty good.
Yeah.
And you can even make it. That it has to be roughly in a straight line as well when he stampedes. That way, he doesn't get the strain. It's just no sudden turns.
What? No corners?
No corners.
I would just go through buildings.
Oh, that's it.
Just go through them.
There's no door there. There is now.
I have seen. There was a game that I played called Iron Kingdoms. It was a war game, but I played a role-playing game. Yeah. And their charging ability, when you pick a target that's out there, right? Anybody between you and them kind of gets knocked off to the side, potentially knocked down. So I don't know if, some of that in the narrative kind of part, right? You could add that to kind of the narrative where you're just, running up and,
Did you play the Witchfire trilogy?
Who, me?
Yeah.
I didn't.
The 3 adventures that they did for that. It was one hell of a good series of adventures, just saying.
No, my GM, he ended up taking us through a Russian fairy tale themed campaign where we met up with Baba Yaga and the 3 little pigs, and there was basically the big wild boar chieftains that we had to go to. It was kind of cool.
Nice,
but
interesting.
Yeah, that reminds me of in Shintar they have for the ogres, because you can play an ogre in Shintar.
Okay.
An edge called Juggernaut.
Oh,
so
sweet.
basically, when they start moving, even if someone has other abilities like first strike, it doesn't stop you from moving. You keep plowing through people, but it has to be in roughly straight line.
Yeah. So there you go, Michael. That could be a potential talent. That could like a racial talent if you want. For the rhino guy.
So just to cover roughly straight line. Tony's suggestion: no strain for the rhino when he moves 2 maneuvers for that particular stampede talent, and you get knockdown.
Yeah.
Knockdown. Is there a value for knockdown?
No, you just have to spend the
It's just knockdown, right?
2 advantage to knock them down.
2 advantage.
Yep.
Right. Okay.
Yep. 2 advantage knocks
So there
your
you go.
opponent down.
Boom.
2 advantage knocks your opponent down, makes them prone, makes them a little easier target if you're using.
That's it. So, and of
Melee,
course, don't
that's
forget that. Don't forget for those abilities. Every 2 advantages you have means you can activate knockdown.
Or it could only take 1 less advantage when you try and knock down an opponent using your Stampede ability, because you might want to knock down a larger foe, like a silhouette 1 or silhouette 2 person, which it would take an extra advantage, right? Because for every silhouette up, you to knock them
Every
down,
2.
or every 2, is it every 2 silhouettes?
It's when they're 2 silhouettes larger than you
or more. Okay.
or more, it goes up.
It goes up. Oh, I got you. Okay. Anyways, so there's a bunch of
believe.
there's some food for thought there for you, bud.
Yeah.
Let me look that up because I don't want to be wrong on that,
Okay.
guys. So
Okay, so
in the item
knockdown
qualities,
quality.
yeah, the knockdown, I'm right there. It's unspecified, otherwise unspecified. Knockdown requires an additional advantage per silhouette beyond 1. So it's an extra 1 beyond 1
Okay.
per silhouette. So if you're trying to knock down a silhouette 3 monster, it's going to take 4 advantage.
Gotcha. Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so.
Well, yeah,
then
because
what I
they're
was
bigger and
saying.
stable.
So then what I was saying is, if you're using your Stampede, it's just 1 less advantage to knock them down. So
Yeah.
take 1 to knock down 1. That's your equal. Just an idea.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Just a
Yeah,
thought.
just subtract 1 less advantage required.
Mm-hmm.
So
Cool.
that's not bad.
Cool. What else does he
Is there
have
any
here?
more to this email?
One last thing, I believe. There we go. Also, any other ideas and critiques are welcome. Turtle fans need to be represented.
Cowabunga, dude.
So basically, I looked a little bit through his document. He's got some good stuff. He's got also careers, which can fit the setting. You know, of course, like the turtles were ninja, so there's a ninja career.
Nice.
But you can have a soldier. I remember when I wanted to play in TMNT, I had just drawing some characters. I drew a lion, human lion, commando kind of thing.
Nice.
So he had the big Uzi in his hand and the big combat boots, and was trying to emulate the style of the comic book as far as drawings. So yeah, there's a soldier, the technician, thief, scoundrel, a few others, depending on character. Then
Where's the
he's got a few-
journalist?
Yeah, the journalist. No,
I want to
not
play
there.
the journalist.
That could
Right?
be
Intellectual, probably.
maybe an intellectual charmer.
Charmer.
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah. Gonna
The
definitely some.
tanker.
Yeah, and a few other things that he hasn't worked on yet, quite like starting gear sets. That's a pretty good idea. A bit like Realms of Tyrnoth. So if you start with as a scout, you have this gear.
Yeah.
Same thing. He hasn't written out
Cool.
anything yet, but the ninjutsu warrior or the escaped experiment and stuff like that. That you have at least
Ooh.
minimum equipment that you can start with, and then some equipment list. Of course, ninja tools and weapons
Cool.
seem to be pretty
He did,
straightforward.
he did mention in here favors, though.
Yeah,
That
he's
would
using
definitely be
favors.
used. Yeah, favors and organizations, right, in TMNT.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because they have so many reclusive secret organizations,
Yeah.
including the Foot Clan and several
Yeah.
other organizations in the comics,
Mm-hmm.
is actually a great idea. I have one critique, if you
Go
would,
ahead. Sure.
and that is, Michael, you need to have bats.
Yes, that way you can have someone named Warren Batty.
Or he is Nightbat. I am the night.
I am. Yes.
I am Bat.
And of course, then you can also go with the whole Disney route of Darkwing Duck.
Oh, wow.
Let's
Well,
get
even though we're not
dangerous.
doing a 50 piece of awesome this week, this is actually pretty awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah.
This is definitely worthy of 50 piece of awesome right here anyways. Just the
That's it.
sheer amount of info you've got in here already. I know it's incomplete, Michael, but
Still.
rock on, dude. Good job.
Yeah.
Kudos to you. I
very much
truly
so.
appreciated playing the Palladium version myself back in the day. I only used the TMNT stuff as a supplement to my Heroes Unlimited game, but it was always fun to add that stuff in.
Yeah.
And it's so kudos to you, Michael.
Yeah, well
Yep.
done, man.
There we
Well
go.
done. All right, so
Thank you, Michael Mikkelsen.
Ooh, you got it.
There you go.
is it Mikkelsen?
It's Mikkelsen.
It's not
There we go.
Mikkelsen?
Nope.
Mikkelsen?
Mikkelsen?
Mikkelsen.
Mikkelsen! I am the machine! I am the Michael Mikkelsen! Sorry.
It's all
All
good.
right, so there we go.
All right, Chris, you got the next one, buddy.
Yes, I do. Which actually, I'm going to kind of read through our email thread from Mr. Chris Allen, a.k.a. Blamecat. Howdy, fellas. I've been debating asking this question for a while now, but after the Netrunner episode, I figure it was worth a shot. I'm assuming he's our Android Netrunner episode, right?
Yeah.
When
And,
we ran...
Android, I think this arrived right after our Android review.
Gotcha. Okay. As the subject suggests, it has to do with social combat. Oh, yeah. Social combat request was the title of his email. I get the basic concept, but for whatever reason, I can't wrap my brain around it fully like I can normal combat. As a GM/GM, gotta make you all happy. I'm a GM as well. It's just when I play that, D Shift 7D game, I'm a DM. And will be always at heart. I've always had a few roles during conversations with key NPCs, but nothing that's steered towards a full-blown social encounter. If it is all possible, could you please orchestrate a full social encounter and run through it on a future podcast? Absolutely. We will do that. Maybe you can tie it in with the favor systems or something. Hint, hint, hint. Nudge, nudge, nudge. I think seeing it in an action like the net running will make it a lot clearer for me and hopefully other listeners. Thanks for making my work commute a great experience. Have a great weekend. Sincerely, Chris, a.k.a. Blamecat. You know what? You are very welcome because... for the commute experience, I've had that hour and a half commute, and I started listening to the when I was starting to listen to the Gathering of Dorks. I listen to them all the time when I had that really long commute. It does make for a good what do you call it? It makes for the commute to just go by that much faster. So glad we're able to pay it forward, if you will.
Yeah.
So I believe Tony responded to this saying, absolutely, sounds like a great idea. Also, in case you missed it, I'm running an Android. He's running Android for us over at the Brewery Show for Chris, Daryl, and Jamie. And in the episode, the link below. So Tony linked the episode, the Android link to the YouTube.
Oh, the actual play.
The actual
Would have
play
been
out there.
episode 2 of that.
Episode 2, yep. Anywho, we're always open to suggestions from our listeners. Thanks for a great one, Tony. And then Chris responds back to Tony. Said, sweet, I did miss it. Thank you for that. He's going to go watch it now while it's slow at work. Uh-oh, I called you out there, dude. It is my pleasure, and thanks again for educating the masses. And he says, okay, hey guys, well, I took Tony's suggestion, went a step further, and binged all the Android sessions over at the brewery. Sweet, glad you liked that. Aside from the withdrawal, now I'm suffering. I do believe I'm grasping the social combat a little more now. By the way, Chris, great despair slap patch save. What? Oh, that one. Have a great weekend, guys. Chris Blamecat. Yeah, that slap patch save was a I rolled a despair.
No. That was the robot shot and killed you. Almost killed you. The big Bioroid. He shot and almost killed you, and he rolled a despair.
Oh,
and
which
you
I
used the despair to fall on Daryl's incapacitated corpse and hit him with a slap patch.
That I had already started pulling out the previous round, so I had it in my hand because I was deciding. Because that's right. Because before that, I was like, the round before that, I'm like, well, I'm going to grab out that slap patch, and I have to decide: do I run for Daryl's character or do I shoot this guy? And I think I decided to shoot him. Hence the
Yeah,
but that was
pretty
fun.
funny.
Yeah, and you were, and there's definitely some social encounters. That's very much an investigative social encounter live play.
There's more to come.
Doing.
The 5th episode is heavily in the social. That's coming up. We probably won't be revisiting that due to personal conflicts until the 11th of July, I think it is.
It's going to be a bit, Just, life happens, right, for us all.
Yeah.
But there was one part in there where, and Chris, you mentioned pulling in the favor system, and I remember my character has been pulling in favors a lot, and I might have, Tony, I think when we were at the counter, my character was an investigator, used to be a new NAPD officer. He saw that he offered his service. He offered a favor to them to get an upgrade or a boost die. I can't remember what I got off of that.
Gave you an upgrade.
Yeah, he gave me an upgrade for it. It's like, hey, you know what? I'll take on that because there's like a 7-Eleven or something, a convenience store. They needed investigating. I'm like, yeah, that's in my neighborhood. I just made that up. That it was in my neighborhood, and I'll go investigate it for you to kind of get in to the morgue or whatever. I think that's what we were going.
Just like when you're offering bribes in social combat, if you're offering bribes to the person if they're bribable, and you're trying to do, and you're throwing in a little extra money. Usually, when players are like, "Oh, I'll toss 50 credits down," or "I'll give them 25 credits," I'll usually give them a boost die or an extra green die or an upgrade, depending on how much they spend. And then, in this case, you offer to take on a small favor, so I think I gave you a boost die or two.
Something like that. Yep. It was one of those things. I offered a favor, or I gained a favor that I owed somebody, and I got a boost in the social combat. So that's how we used it with this favor system.
Regardless of all that,
we
will be visiting the favor system in July, late July, and when we do, we'll probably have an appropriate advantageous threats.
Yes.
Yeah.
That sounds good to me.
Because there's a lot of talents that are socially based in Genesys. Even the core books, Scathing Tirade and a few others that I think get overlooked.
Inspiring rhetoric. That's one to heal
Good cop,
you.
bad cop.
Yeah. So maybe
good cop and bad cop are great for social combat because it allows two players to play off each other and it boosts each other's checks in ways that just the dice results don't allow. So they're great talents for that.
Yep.
Cool.
Yep. So that's that one.
There we go.
All right. So I'm going to take on Mr. Sam Barrett.
Yes.
So our good friend Sam got a little wordy, and he sent us this.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened to him, but my computer sent the last email prematurely. He sent us an email, and it was blank. But anyway, I was going to apologize for taking so long to send you my cyberpunk setting idea. Things have been quite busy and stressed for us lately. Thankfully, it's not all bad. I'm proud to announce baby number 3 for us is on the way. Congrats, Sam.
Congrats, Sam. Yay.
I think that's probably a good reason for being a little late, and you're right, it is, buddy. At any rate, with no further ado, Chris and Tony, and this one was sent before Stefan joined us, and Stefan, I'm sure he would say, he gives us Nexus. And it has a nice little blurb here. Nexus, the outside-in world city where 22 billion souls live, work, cheat, steal, and scrounge for their next meal. Where those at the top live closest to the life-giving core, while the masses shiver against the outer wall and try not to die of shard lung or rust rash. Great names for diseases. Sure, you can get a job and try to work your way up the mega corporate ladder if you're willing to step on your friends and neighbors to get there. Just pick which of the big 10 you want to sell your soul to. After all, you're either a functioning part of the system or another line in the code, or you're unemployed. Their neat and clean way of describing the oppressed and disenfranchised mix of poor, homeless, criminal, and mutant populations that would rather starve together than join the same system responsible for their misfortune. But hey, at least you'll be in good company. Hobos and street urchins, thieves and thugs. The have-littles and the have-nots with a dash of trip fiend and junkies thrown in for good measure. Whatever you do, pal, keep your head down and get used to it. This is the way it's always been in Nexus. At least that's what the hist logs say.
History logs,
so,
hist logs,
yeah,
nice.
Yeah. So, don't go thinking you can change anything. You'd have to be one of those code weavers or something. And if you're the praying type, you'd better make your peace with Antillon. And because in Nexus, life is cheap. Unless you're poor, then it's all you have. And that's a quote from a Wilf Langestein. But yeah, welcome to Nexus. The cyberpunk setting exists in a Dyson sphere. Cool. 1.5 times the size of our Earth. Those trapped within were born and raised inside with hardly a clue as to what lies outside of their neon-gilded cage. Society is primarily divided by your occupation, or lack thereof, and the quadrant you live in. As for the occupations, everyone with a legitimate wage works for one of the Big Ten. The Big Ten are 10 mega corporations that control virtually every facet of life in Nexus. They monopolize every possible service and product, decide the laws and legislation, and the Nexus Parliament consists of ranking board members of each megacorp. This Parliament decides all Nexus-wide policy, including laws and regulations. This reminds me of Paranoia for some reason. But
really,
anyhow, he's got a list of corporations here. The Big Ten is Architect, Roswell Industries, NSF, which is Nexus Security Force, NutraCorp, which is a food industry, Bander and Ward, which is administration and banking, Vision Media, which is news, entertainment, Venture United, public transportation and whatnot, Metagen, which is a medical, pharmaceutical, genetics research, cybernetics, Enerco, which deals with your utilities, and Harper & Sons, which is a service industry and retail. By the way, Roswell was robotics and machinery, and Architect is high-tech computers, metascience, and NSF deals with law enforcement, security tech, weapons, and emergency services. Anyhow, Nexus itself is divided into 4 equally wedge-sized mega-quadrants. The tips of these wedges meet at the poles. Green quadrant, lush and beautiful. Green quadrant is... yeah, that's a tongue twister. Green quadrant is considered by most to be the most desirable quadrant to live in. And it lists the corporations that have the most control there, which is NutraCorp, Venture United, and Harper & Sons. Gold quadrant, the richest and most metropolitan quadrant. Gold considers itself the model for life in Nexus, whether its inhabitants are of other quadrants agree or not. Architect, Bander and Ward, and Vision Media have their HQs there. Red quadrant, sitting opposite the green, both in geographical position and environmental quality, red is the most populated and most polluted quadrant on the Nexus. Roswell Industries, NSF, and Enerco have their HQs there. And then blue quadrant, also known as the dark quadrant. Blue contains more black zones and unchecked mutant populations than all of Nexus combined. And it is Metagen's headquarters.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
All right,
Yeah.
so life is made possible inside the sphere by powerful light and energy coming from the core. Suspended in the sky at exactly the center of Nexus lies the core, like a sun, forever set at high noon. Much of Nexus itself is poorly understood by those who live within, and the core is no different. What is known is that it must run through active and dormant cycles at regular intervals. If this is not done, the core becomes erratic and hazardous, irradiating the inner surface and those who live there. This is done by scientists and engineers residing in the Corona, a floating station with mirrored surfaces that rings the core at a very short distance. Every day the core is cycled into activity to light all of Nexus, and at night it is powered down, turning its rich golden light into a hypnotic purple, black light purple. That's cool as shit.
Yeah, it is.
Though a common sight in many parts of Nexus, artificial intelligent life forms, AILs, are a part of Nexus society that makes many citizens uneasy. Though AILs have been functioning part of Nexus life for a long, strangely indeterminate span of time, many citizens consider them unnecessary and unwelcome in the face of overpopulation and scarcity in the job market.
Buy raids, everybody.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Or clones. It really can go either way. Others are more concerned that though some are physically indistinguishable from humans, their motives remain unknown. Mm-hmm. This has created a social climate that breeds discrimination in many forms. Because of the very natures, unrest exists among AILs as well. Already divided between the labor-oriented androids and the social-oriented synthetics. There you go. AILs find that strife seems to follow them wherever they go. Usually feeling the most discrimination at work, androids often band together, sometimes forming unions. Synthetics, on the other hand, often struggle in regular social settings, where they sometimes struggle to hide their artificial nature. Regardless of type, AILs simply desire to live and let live, free of discrimination and fear. There's a bunch more on trip, religion. I'm assuming trip is some sort of drug or...
Probably, I think so.
Magic, mutants, and virtue grid, which is like the net. But I'm afraid I need to wrap it up for now. Why not? You wrote the whole setting in here for... No, just
pretty much.
It's really good, by the way. I really
think it's great.
Anyhow, Sam wraps up with saying, it's a setting for one of the book series I'm trying to work on. Another nerd cliche, I know. Peace, Sam, and his always famous TLDRs, Dyson Punk, TM.
There you go.
Nice. Dyson Punk.
Yeah.
Because they're in a Dyson sphere.
Exactly.
I love that.
It sounds cool. It's a very cool setting kind of thing. A nice place to put the androids material. Shadow of the Beanstalk. Just remove the beanstalk, and there you go. New world.
Yeah. And yeah, it's pretty much rubbing the serial numbers off of Shadow of the Beanstalk. And you can add in, like he said, adding in, magic, mutants, trip, whatever that is, religion. You can have yourself a kind of a awesome setting. I think it just sounds amazing, Sam. So yeah,
it does. Yeah, I'm
get to work on that document, would you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We won't
quit
play
having kids.
Yeah, quit having kids and let's play it.
Happy Father's Day, Sam.
Yes, definitely happy Father's Day.
Bonne fête des pères.
Yeah, that's a lot there.
French. Yeah.
But
I like the quadrants, the quadrant idea.
Yeah.
Like the Earth is split up into like 4 different quadrants, and
I love the idea,
the
idea itself, and the fact that the sun itself is what's causing the mutations, and
could be.
Or you could throw in that whole Metagen, the company that's doing all the medical research. That's where all these mutants are coming from.
No, they wouldn't have anything to do with that, Tony.
No.
Love that. No, it had this paranoia feel. Have you guys
never
either
played
of you
it.
ever played Paranoia?
I've never played it. I want to.
Never played it. Heard about it, of course, but never played it.
Yeah, it of course that's a computer run. The society is run by computers, and you have your people have they're graded by their place in society as a color. So, and it's the colors of the rainbow and ascending order, with ultraviolet being the highest level of clearance that you can have.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's good.
But I know the society is run by this insane, schizophrenic AI.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
and the computer is never wrong, and it always convinces the players to turn on each other. It's a pretty fun game. I played it a lot.
Sometimes it can give you conflicting orders, like go on this mission in this quadrant, but the law says you're also not allowed in this quadrant. Doesn't matter. I just told you have to go into this quadrant to retrieve this. You do it. Oh well, your violating the law because you're not supposed to be in the quadrant. Zot.
Yeah, and everybody has like a finite number of clones.
Yeah.
And so if you fail at your mission or you die, you just get a new clone that your character becomes, but they're a lower level security clearance. They got to work their way up again.
Back up again? Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, I played it a lot in my early 20s. It was a fun game to play when you're newly discovered alcoholic.
Nice.
Every time one of your character dies, you have to take a shot. So.
Yeah.
All right.
We have another
cool.
big one.
Yep.
And I had, since there's 3 of us and there's 4 emails.
4 big emails to read. Right.
I have this proposed method of deciding who reads the last one.
Well, that's it. Because I suggested mud wrestling, but we don't live in the same cities, so that's a bit hard.
Yeah,
Besides, you would cheat.
Yeah, you would cheat. Yeah, you
yeah, and
would. And I'd be afraid.
and I would also record the whole thing.
There you go.
For science.
Yes.
Social sciences, yes. Not blackmail material, not at all.
No, not at all.
So here's my proposal.
All right.
We're going to do an but a competitive skill check.
Yeah.
All right.
We're going to roll off to see who reads this one, but there's a caveat. So if I roll a triumph and Chris wins, Chris has to try to pronounce this guy's name.
Which we're not going to say it just yet because
No,
they don't want to give me any hints as to how to say
Of
it.
course not.
If Stefan rolls a triumph and I win, I have to read the email in a funky or the portion of the email in the funky accent of Stefan's choosing.
Mm-hmm. I already have an idea.
And if Chris rolls a triumph, but Stefan wins, Stefan's twin Stephanie has to come on the show
and read the part.
She hasn't replied to my text yet, so I'm not sure if she'll be able to make it, but we'll see.
We'll see. You got to win the roll.
That's it.
So roll, we're going to be rolling what? 2 yellow and 2 green.
Yeah.
And no boost dice for Stefan.
No boost dice, apparently.
Dice. All right. And this is the honor system. This is the honor system here, too. So
Of course.
Here we go. Oh, I got 3 advantage. And I also got 3 successes.
I got 3 successes and 3 advantage.
No advantage, 6 successes.
Oh,
Well, you win, Tony.
yeah.
You get the roll.
I win, and Stefan rolled 3 advantage, which I forgot to say in my description. The triumph or 3 plus advantage.
3 plus advantage.
So one of the trigger conditions, Stefan rolled 3 advantage, and I won.
Yeah.
Which means, what accent is Tony going to be reading this email on? Using
He needs to read. I forget the name of the race, but he needs to
dwarf?
read it like. No, the alien that owned Anakin and his mother in.
Toydarian.
Toydarian. There you go.
All right. I got to do it like Watto. All right. All right. Fair enough. So I'm just going to read the introduction. By
What's
the way,
his name?
His name is Gudmundur Orn Ingvarsson, or GM Gudmo.
There you go.
Nice.
All right. So this is our Icelandic listener. He sent us this. Hi there, guys. I've been listening to you for a while now. Enjoy your banter. You asked for custom item qualities attachments, and I'm sure some of these sound familiar, at least to Chris as a fellow GURPS GM. Since they are blatantly plagiarized from GURPS vehicles in 3rd edition. Keep podcasting. Here we go.
Excellent.
Well done, Tony. Yay! Yeah, you don't have to read the rest of it like that.
Oh, no, I'm not going to. There's no way I would read all of these.
Well, considering we have 3 more pages.
All right, so he gave us a ton of weapon attachments and modifications and stuff. And really, I think his big question was, how to cost them. So we're going to kind of give him some help on that.
Yep.
So the first one,
All right.
I'll read that one. The shoulder stock shoulder stock attachment for any pistol grip weapons helps with accuracy. It's used with any pistol grip weapon. Its modifiers are accurate 1 and encumbrance +1. It uses 1 hard point and has a rarity of 3. And he has a question mark for cost. Well, I would like to note that on page 206 of the Genesys Core Rulebook, we have some rules on attachments and hardpoints. And now Chris and I haven't discussed this really on how this is done. But when you're creating for your own system, I would say start here with the chart on page 207 for your basis on price.
Yeah. Yeah, it gives you a price and a rarity in that.
So your price for a rarity 3 items probably going to be 200, 300 credits or monetary units, whatever you're using. That seems reasonable. I think these things are more priced on their rarity than anything else. It
would seem so, because this balanced hilt, this first one, would be a good one to go to use as a start for this shoulder stock, right? Because the balanced hilt is basically, it's for a melee weapon, but it adds the accurate quality. And that's what this attachment is doing. But it's 1,000 unit price is 1,000 units, credits, whatever. We'll say credits. But this is a rarity 6 item, and I don't know. I'd at least cut this in half to 500. Yeah. Maybe even, maybe even down to 200, maybe 250. Right?
Yeah. And if you look at a rarity 3 item on here, there's a couple of rarity 3 items that are in the 150 to 400 range. So
the tripod
telescopic sight for 200. So
yeah.
And there's a table on 199, which is where you're building the weapons. It gives you a weapon cost calculation and the different qualities that you would add as well. So if you wanted to use that table too, you could.
That's almost like building a weapon from scratch.
That's building a weapon from scratch, but you can at least kind of get an idea. So if you're adding a damage, right?
Right.
And if the damage takes you to maybe, say, another level, so if the base damage goes from 7 to 8, in this table on 199, you're adding 250 credits for it. You know what I mean?
And towards the bottom of that table, sorry.
Go ahead. No, go.
Like at the bottom of the table, it says like adding another positive quality, like accurate would be a positive quality. Obviously, they suggest like 100 credits per rank, or 250. Period. And like Chris said, maybe instead of 1,000 credits or dollars, whatever, for a shoulder stock, for half would be okay. I think maybe even lower, but
because it increases the encumbrance, you can drop it down some. And
unless he's making out of some exotic material, it's like, oh, it's very exotic wood that I want it to look really nice, and how some steampunks or even Western weapons. You look at vintage weapons that had shoulder stocks that had like engravings and metal work into it.
Right. And
fancy, then it can cost a lot.
Right, and stuff like that. Like if you have a pair of, if you had like say a pair of ivory handled pistols, you might get a boost die to your charm check or intimidation check or something like that if somebody recognizes those, right?
Well,
and the shoulder stock too. If you want to make it out of heck, you can even pull in the special material quality stuff from Tyranoth too, like you were saying, Stefan, like a nice wood or unique
material, or the bone, bone of something, or space age material as well.
I'd make it from unicorn horn.
There you go.
Know it, man.
And of course, just below the other positive quality, they also have other negative quality, which can offset, minus 75 per rank. So encumbrance 1, because it's making the weapon more encumbrance, it offsets the cost of the accurate. of the shoulder stock. So,
Yep.
All right, go on. Let's go on. Chris, why don't you take the next one, buddy?
Sure, we'll take the next. So the next one is electromagnetic. So basically, your Gauss guns, your rail guns, coil guns, mass drivers, in the barrel to accelerate a ferocious or conductor sheathed projectile. It's the very Ferris.
Ferris. It's iron.
Iron. Oh, sorry. To very high velocities. The ammunition is very light, doesn't require propellant, as it's caseless. Available anywhere in future or for sidearms for large artillery in modern times. Used with any slug thrower weapon. And his modifiers for this, range +1, pierce +2, damage +1, and it adds 1 to the encumbrance. 2 hard points, and then a rarity of 7. So for this, I would actually start with the extended barrel. It's the one that increases the range by 1 band. Could be applied to any weapon and whatever, any ranged weapon or light, range, heavy gunnery weapon. And it starts at 1,000. A price of 1,000. Now, you're adding pierce, you're adding more damage, but you are making it heavier.
But it's rarer also.
It is rarer. Now there is now the superior weapon customization is a rarity 7 and it's 750. Underbarrel flamethrowers rarity 6, but it costs 3,000. I don't know. I would probably add for the pierce or actually for the damage, I'd probably add maybe 200, maybe 250. And then for the pierce...
Well, it's pierce +2, another
pierce
positive quality.
Another
so that would be
another couple hundred.
That would be 200 for that as per raw, as per Genesys
I'd
book.
probably throw this somewhere around the 2,000 credit range, I would think.
That's where I put it.
Somewhere around 2,000, I think, yeah.
Because there are some...
These are modifiers now. Wait a second now. Remember, your modifiers, you need to...
These are just the base modifiers. These are not. I don't believe these are additional ones that you can roll for, like the attachments in Star Wars.
No, these are. Yep,
these are
the
straight
modifiers.
up modifiers.
Yep, you add it, boom, you get it. Right. Okay, got it. Okay.
Yeah, I wonder if he's looked at the Android book. Shadow of the Beanstalk. It has some of these weapons, like the Gauss weapon, the Gauss rifle.
There you go.
At.
Okay.
I mean, that one is a ranged heavy. Ranged heavy. Basic damage 10. Extreme range, so it has good range on it.
Right.
Has the cumbersome 3, so because it's a big bulky weapon. Pierce 5 and slow firing. So yes, it takes a bit of time to fire. But encumbrance. Yeah. Ouch. But encumbrance 5. Cost of 2,000, but a rarity 6. But that's for maybe like in a sci-fi setting.
Right.
You might restrict it even higher if it's a military grade weapon. You could make it 8 easy.
Yep.
But yeah, it's.
So I think that feels like it's
5,
close in the right.
Yeah,
it's in the ballpark.
It's in the ballpark.
And what he's doing here is he wanted to create. I think the way I see it is because this came from idea of GURPS is more of a generic one that you could just plug in any near future or future setting without having to just pull the one over from Android. Maybe you have a character that wants to make an electromagnetic conversion to an existing gun in a supers setting.
There you go.
And this is a way to make that.
Yeah, or just mechanically, game-wise, it's just like, I'm going to take the revolver or 9mm pistol and add these qualities to it, and that makes it a Gauss
That's what
pistol.
It feels like it's doing,
Because even the auto Fletchers in the Shadow of the Beanstalk are, Pierce 2. So adding, Pierce 2 to it, to let's say a regular pistol sounds along the same lines. So it's a good base.
Let's go. What's the next one there, Stefan?
All right. Let's see. The next one is electrothermal. guns that use an electric charge to vaporize a propellant into steam or plasma, which expands and smoothly accelerates the round down the barrel at high velocity. This would be ideal for near-future technology, used for any slug thrower. And he's got modifiers for +1 damage and accurate 1. And this would be 1 hard point and rarity 6.
So 500 credits.
Yeah, around there. Yeah.
That
We figured 200 to 400 for the one that was rarity 3, and it just increased accuracy.
Mm-hmm. Just accurate 1 and damage +1 for above a regular, let's say, handgun or rifle or submachine gun.
Yep. That's cool.
It's not too bad.
A little more rare.
Yeah, that one was pretty easy. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
All right. X-ray laser modulation.
Mm.
So advanced laser modulation that allows the laser to fire in the X-ray frequency. Gosh, I cannot talk today.
Pew pew.
Uses for any laser weapon.
You should drink more then.
I'm trying. You can use it in for any laser weapon, so it'd be in a futuristic setting anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Modifiers are Pierce +2 and Damage +1. Hard points 1, rarity 8. This seems like something that would be high tech, rare. It's rarity 8. I'd put it right at 1,000 credits, just because of the value of it.
Right.
Right.
1,000 units of some kind.
Yeah, I wonder. Yeah, go ahead.
Just from looking at the chart where other things are on it, I'd say
Right.
this fits right there.
Yeah, I think so too. So what does radar?
I wonder if it-
do?
I wonder if
Pierce
a X-ray laser, being basically X-ray, very dangerous. If someone doesn't have the proper type of armor, you could switch from Pierce 2 to Breach 1. It would be maybe more of a heavy rifle version of an X-ray laser, not a pistol. Unless you hold it there for an hour.
Speaking of which, the next
Why don't you
one.
read Gravity Beams, Steph?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
read the next one there, Stefan.
Or should I ask Stephanie to read this one?
It's up to her. I
let me
guess.
see.
Did she
Let me see if-
answer your back?
Yeah, I think I heard her upstairs. Let me just check. Just a sec. Stephanie! Stephanie! Steph! Yes, I am here. What do you want? I want you to read this for the guys on the podcast. Oh, really? Oh, all right, fine. Because Chris and Tony are so cute. All right, so what is this? This nerdy thing here? Oh, yes. Gravity beam. Oh, that sounds nasty. Ultra high-tech grav guns. The damage is low, but can penetrate. Ooh, I love the penetration. All but the most reinforced of armors. Use with any energy weapon. Damage -1. Breach 1. Oh, I like the breaching. And this has the words, just the letters HP. Is that some kind of sauce? I do not know. HP 1 and rarity 9. Is that all? Yes, that's fine. You've mangled our language more than enough. Go away. Fine. Goodbye, my cheries.
Bye, Stephanie.
Bye, Stephanie.
Thank you for joining us, Stephanie.
Sorry, she didn't have her face on, or else she wouldn't have gone on.
There you go.
So that's why I had to block the camera.
Always lovely to have Stephanie around.
That's right. Yeah, this one, I mean, I'm thinking this has got to be somewhere in 1,500, maybe more.
Oh yeah, I would put at least 2,000.
Maybe 2,000. I mean, the rarity being 9, right?
Yeah, so not everyone can have access to that, even being put in brackets R, as in restricted.
Yeah. yeah, definitely. I would say probably restricted.
Yeah.
Maybe even the X-ray one, but before that would probably be restricted too. Did we have restricted rarities in Genesys, or are we mixing Star Wars?
We have restricted rarities and yes. And Android.
It's not like a new podcast for it or anything.
Yeah.
All right.
I know I saw restricted with these chicken bone dice. Anyway, so
There you go.
All right, Chris. Well, why don't you? Unfortunately, we gave away. We should have had Stefan do the rainbow laser. It's a wonderful rainbow.
Stephanie
shirt.
do the rainbow laser? Yeah, probably should have. That's okay.
Go ahead, Chris.
Well, this modification can switch between different modes modulation of an energy weapon. Using a maneuver, you could switch between a normal laser, X-ray, or grazer?
yes,
Ray laser.
gamma ray.
Oh, the gamma one.
Gamma ray
Okay.
laser. That's okay. There was no interesting words for Stephanie in there. She would not have read that one.
The gamma ray laser.
Yes.
So the modifiers would be per the laser, or the X-ray, or the grazer. Hard points 2, rarity 10. Probably restricted 2, I would think.
Oh yeah, definitely. You know, a weapon that can be that versatile. You know, like all right, they're hiding behind some armor. The laser can't come through it. You know, it's
Yep.
like okay, X-ray lasers. Oh. Apparently, they've put some layers of lead between them. All right, let's melt all of that with the gamma ray laser.
And
You don't
I
have
would
to go
just,
back
you
to
know
the
what?
garage and get
And
it.
as far as the cost goes, I would just add all those different types up. Boom.
Yeah.
There you go.
5,000, 10,000. You could name any price on that.
And
It's gonna
maybe
Pinnacle.
add the prepare one as you switch between modulations.
Well, he says it's a maneuver. You could
Yep,
switch
so that
between
it means
them.
it gains
yeah.
the prepare one quality.
There
If
you
you
go.
just wanted to throw that on there, that's easier than saying it takes a maneuver.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Okay, I see. Yep.
Yeah. There you go.
Cool.
All right, the anti-particle beam. High energy particle accelerator that produces kinetic damage and explosive effects with radioactive damage as well, also known as pulsars. This could be used on any energy weapon. It gives it the Blast 3 quality. Holy moly!
Nice.
Yowzers.
900 credits is my thing, I think. It's takes up 2 hard points. Seems legit. And it's rarity 7. Yeah.
There we
I
go.
put this one right at 900.
Yeah,
Sounds
that
good.
feels pretty good to me.
All right.
Good.
Want to do the next one
All
there,
right.
Steph?
Yep, I'll do that one. All right, so the neutral particle beam. These weapons use a more complex accelerator arrangement to generate beams of neutral particles. So they're not evil or good, they're not lawful
Neutral.
or chaotic, they're just neutral.
Well, it could be chaotic neutral, right?
That depends on the modulation. You might use the...
Sorry.
A neutral particle beam can be used in vacuum or trace atmosphere without degrading. As a maneuver, you can switch the weapon to function as a normal blaster as well. So, prepare one. And so use it on any energy weapon, but no additional modifiers. But just encumbrance 1, maybe there's larger power cells or the accelerator itself is more cumbersome. So only HP 1 and rarity 4.
150 credits.
150.
Yep.
There,
It allows you to use your weapon in space.
yeah, there you go.
There you go.
So
Cool.
it really only has the narrative of that and an encumbrance increase
Absolutely.
and prepare 1. I don't see it being super expensive.
No. Although I think as long as you have, it's a laser any of the laser weapons, grazer and even X-ray could be used, I think, in outer space anyway. Just that there's no atmosphere to warp the laser. So.
All right. Last but not least,
Yes, a monowire edge. Apply a monowire edge to any bladed weapon. Use with any bladed weapon. Modifiers, pierce +2. 1 hard point, rarity 4. You go right to Razor's Edge, which is 1,250 for the cost, rarity 6. But the only difference between Razor's Edge and this monowire edge is Razor's Edge actually decreases the crit range rating by 1 on a weapon. So
Right.
this would
in addition
be,
to +2 pierce.
in addition to the Pierce 2 quality. Or it increases any existing Pierce quality by 1. That's what Razor's Edge does. So, yeah, I'd put this somewhere down in the I don't know, 500, maybe 750 range.
Same here.
Something along those lines. Not as
or
good
just
as
use
a
Razor's
Razor
Edge.
Yeah, it's not as good as a Razor's Edge. But if you don't have that many credits to 1,200 and you want to spend 500 to get the monowire, get Pierce 2, that's cool. Nice.
That's cool.
Nice, very nice.
There we go.
All right, well, GM Gudmo, he says, best regards, GM Gudmo from Iceland. He also, on a side note, asked us to look at his character sheet that he was designing. And that was in the email thread. It says, as a side note, I'd love some feedback on the character sheet I'm working on. And he gave us a link to that. He goes, I'm planning to replace the talent tree with another that is closer to the background to create a new page with more talent lists, trees, notes, sections, blah, blah, blah. Final product would be a 4-page, 2 front, 2 back, dedicated to talents. And he's, like I said, he sent us a link. So I looked at it. And the big thing that I liked about it was that there was a huge portrait section for, insert a portrait for your character.
Right.
Which I like that. And, I don't know about the 4 pages. I love 2-page character sheets kind of guy. But I could see the use. People would enjoy that.
At least it's an even number, so you don't have a blank on the other side.
It's true.
I didn't see the character sheet actually.
Yeah, what character sheet? Because I'm getting a link to Tiernoth Fillable, Genesys Realms of Tiernoth ones.
I do believe it's his current
Tiernoth Fillable.
Tiernoth Fillable. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Maybe it's the. Yeah, I think that's it.
All right. Let's see here. Shared. Yeah. Sorry for the dead air.
He did add a talent page, didn't he?
Mm-hmm. But anyhow,
cool.
Nothing wrong with that. There's all kinds of good character sheets out there. A lot of people are putting out there. This is right up there with them, Gudmo. So
yeah, buddy.
Good job. I love the weapon modification. I like the idea of having these that you can just plug into any weapon in any setting.
Yes.
And quickly as a GM, you can just add them on. It's a great little resource.
Mm-hmm.
I recommend you put them, once you get them finished, put them up on the FFG forums for everyone to use.
That's right.
If you haven't already, I'll admit I haven't been over there in a while. But I just want to, he said best regards to us, and I responded in is my best Icelandic, which is bestu kvetur. And I hope that means best regards, and I didn't tell you to wipe your underwear on the windows.
Google Translate got that right. Nice.
But that was our email show. I know we said it was huge, but it wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be.
No, just long, bigger emails, but we managed to go through them without bogging down, I think.
That's right.
Not so bad at all as all that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, shall we get on to the next show segment?
Sure.
Yeah. All right, everybody. Well, that's our show. A little shorter, but we got through the big emails for everybody. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Keep sending them in, and maybe we'll have a second hefty mail sack for you all.
And I didn't get the chance to say, but thank you, GM Gudmo, Chris Allen, Michael McGlishan, and Sam Barrett. All 4 of you who wrote us your life stories.
Yes.
We love it. It's great that we could dedicate an entire show to you guys. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much. We do appreciate it.
Thank you. Without you, we wouldn't have a show.
That's right. And it's glad to know that you guys that were making the commutes to your works a little easier. Because I know I appreciated it listening to the podcast that I used to listen to before too. So
yeah.
Let's see.
I still listen to a couple of podcasts to and from work. I have at least just a short half hour, but back.
Yeah,
I've got
a 3-second commute now from my bedroom to my office. So working from home is nice. Anyways, let's see. Let's give a shout out to the WildDie podcast. They are dedicated to Pinnacle Entertainment's Savage Worlds setting, where they discuss everything from rules and everything in between. Eric, Gary, and Harrison doing that show there. They're on Patreon.
Actually, Harrison has taken a little break.
He's taking a break.
But they do have a replacement for him with Paris Conte.
Yes, the brains of the outfit now.
Nice.
Because it's summer, the time zones coincide.
How much is that saying? No.
Oh, it adds a lot.
Does it?
Listen to their latest episodes. Like, yeah, Paris brings a lot to the table.
Yeah, he's the adult in the room, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Paris is used to trying to herd cats.
Yep, and I sent my what do you call it? My mugshot in for.
Oh yeah.
My good guys, wise guys. This weekend to Eric. Sorry, Eric, I took so long getting up to you. Sorry, buddy. But yeah,
right, sorry about that. Sorry for the interrupt.
Oh no, interrupt please, because I haven't listened to these guys. Sorry,
recently they've been talking about hindrances in Savage Worlds and what ones they like and which ones they don't.
Cool.
And so it's mainly opinion, but they have a lot of fun things to say. They crack some jokes. They mention our good friend Daryl.
Yeah, one time, and and Paris brings up some good points because he uses Savage Worlds a lot for his group at work. Basically, he uses role-playing games to help people with anxiety and high-level autism and stuff to deal.
Yeah, he works with kids.
Yeah, and sometimes some young adults, but still, hindrances are a big tool that help people overcome some of their problems with dealing with society in general. And even to things like one example is like one young man who, when he feels he's not listened to by other people, he starts getting angry. So his recent character has the hindrance mild-mannered. So he's not supposed to talk and shout or get excited. So when he does, the player gets excited. Paris shows a bobblehead Hulk to him and points at it. It's like, you're hulking out. It's like, all right. I have to be Clark Kent, not Hulk.
Oh, nice.
That's great.
Nice.
That's
good.
Good.
Cool. That's very cool.
So, yeah.
All right. So more about them. Go ahead, Chris. They have Patreon and whatnot.
Yeah, they're Patreon. They're on the MeWe. They're Nerds International members. You can find them at thewilddie.podbean.com. You could also email them at thewilddie@gmail.com. So,
cool.
Find them.
All right.
Got an important reminder too, Stefan.
Yes. Still coming up. We're getting closer and closer to Con on the Cob, October 3rd to the 6th. A few people won't be able to make it, but most of us will still be there. We're hoping that Paris Conte will be there too. He's saving money to come up to visit. And so it's in Cleveland, Ohio. Just go on the website cononthecob.com, Richfield, Ohio. Awesome con, very inclusive, very fun, smaller con, so you don't get overwhelmed by crowds. If again, if you're suffering from anxiety.
Exactly. So how many people do you think are there? Anywhere between 500 and 1,000, maybe.
Yeah, and that's spread out over the weekend. I would say
not even 1,000, maybe 300 to 500.
Yeah, 500 at the most, maybe.
Yeah, at the most. So and we're usually in one corner of the atrium, just near between the pool and the mini putt.
The putt. Yep.
The loudest corner of the atrium.
The loudest and best and the most fun corner.
Near the miniatures painting.
Yeah, not too far from there too.
Yep.
We always take over a couple of tables.
I got to get on finishing my adventures for Con on the Cob.
There you go.
Oh, wait a second. That's right. I got to work on one too, don't I?
Yeah. Well,
cool.
Yeah, so you can reach out to us at findingthenarrativepodcast@gmail.com. That's where all those other guys emailed us. You can reach out to Stefan and myself, Finding the Narrative, on Facebook. Nerds International and Finding the Narrative on MeWe. We just had a listener hunt us down and find us over there, and helped us fix some of our links in our Facebook page and so on and so forth.
Well done.
And
Jeremy, somebody, right?
Yeah, Jeremy. Yep.
Yeah, welcome.
And then you can also get a hold of Stefan on Twitter at FTN_Genesys. And listen to us or tell your friends to listen to us on Finding the Narrative Podcast on Podbean, iTunes, YouTube, Google Play, Spotify, and apparently we're on iHeartRadio.
We are. There's not all of our episodes apparently are up there. So what I did is I ended up requesting our podcast to be added. I guess that's what you do. You just go there and give me your RSS feed and it'll be there. But it's up there for some reason. It's finding it somewhere.
So we probably had some listeners maybe upload it for themselves for their own personal.
Could have. Maybe. Maybe.
And now they tracked us down.
Yeah, they did. Podbean is the best place to get it all. And YouTube, too. I mean, you can find them all on YouTube. Though, we don't show our smiley faces or anything, but it's just...
No. We don't want to excite our listeners that much.
Well, I mean... I usually incite blindness in most people that see me, so I am pale.
Yes, the beach is littered by blind people when Tony goes to the beach.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thanks, guys, and this is Tony saying, keep rolling them bones.
And this is Stefan saying, don't forget to ask for those boost die, which I forgot to ask for my boost die earlier.
No, we preempted your asking and said, no, you can't have one.
Before the show started and during.
And during, right.
It's as if I have a reputation of something.
You do. And then this is Chris saying, remember the rule of cool and just have fun, everybody. Good night.
Yes, have fun with your big mailbag.
Hey, what was that guy's name again, Chris? Good. Pronounce it, buddy.
Hang on a minute. No, it's GM Goodmo. So. No, you wanted me to try. Here, let me give it a try. Okay. So, Goodman Invardsson. On that
and
note,
what's that other guy? Michael what?
Michael Mikulski. Bye, Mike.
There we go. Mangled and mangled again.
That's right. All right. Till next time.
Finding the Narrative, a Genesys RPG podcast, is not affiliated with or endorsed by any companies mentioned in this show. Any of the products mentioned on our show or appear on our website are the property and copyright of their respected owners. All items are used under fair use and educational and review purposes. All other items are the intellectual property of Finding the Narrative, a Genesys RPG podcast. Copyright 2019, all rights reserved.